Welcome to the Gunning Truth with Ronnie, and some breaking news, as you can see scrolling at the bottom. A couple of hours ago, it's been confirmed from David Ornstein, or Ornstein, as some like to call him in England, and William Saliba and Zinchenko has been confirmed out for the season. So something that's kind of expected. Once again, Zinchenko, probably his fourth different injury, and I think most of them have been calf issues. That's his fourth injury this season. Tomiyasu on the right side is injured 3 or 4 different times. Thomas Partey constantly injured. And it's becoming really annoying now. And it's generally small injuries, but it's happening far too regularly when the likes of Martinelli and Saka and these guys are generally fit. And then Jesus as well, who has knocks now and then for City or back in the day. However, a very big injury to him in the World Cup this season. So I do not know where this notion is coming that Arsenal have been at a clean bill of health this season. I've got a book where I actually note down the injuries that Arsenal have had, and it's 2 pages long. So that BS needs to stop, where people seem to think that Arsenal have their squad fit. That's not the case, and because we are still in a process, and as annoying as that might be, Arsenal Football Club just don't have the squad to deal with this, and it's actually getting close to a miracle that we've been able to push Manchester City this far. Obviously, I desperately want to win the league. I'm still upset at how we messed up certain games. There's various reasons: Rob Holding, tactical, the way Arteta used certain instances. Probably mental fatigue, physical fatigue, the Manchester City factor that's also coming into play. So all of those things are obviously reasons as to why Arsenal had that 4-game run, which will probably or very likely be the most important 4 games that we ended up messing up. I wouldn't call it bottling it. I would just say that we're probably going to fall a little bit short, but we're still in it. And there's 1 point off. Manchester City, they go to Everton, and we must not forget that they expended a lot of energy against Real Madrid. They played fairly well. Well, they were excellent, and Real Madrid were excellent as well. But obviously, somewhere along the line, that game has to catch up with them on Sunday against Everton, and hopefully Everton brings their best foot forward. They were fantastic on Monday against Brighton. So not just for ourselves, obviously Everton are in a relegation battle. They are probably out of it by now. They probably don't need to beat Man City to be able to make sure that they will play Premier League football next season, because there's other games. But hopefully they are able to put their best foot forward and give Man City a game. Arsenal were awful when we went to Goodson Park in January or February, where we lost 1-0. And obviously it was Sean Dyche's first game, so the new manager bound. So let's see what happens on Sunday. Obviously, Man City are playing before we play Brighton and Hove and Albion on Sunday. So we will see how it goes. But obviously the most important bits of news: Saliba and Zinchenko are out for the season. And obviously, I don't know if Arsenal fans panicked, but in my opinion, there's 270 minutes of the season left. 3 games, 90 minutes each. I don't think it's going to make a humongous difference. I think Arsenal should be able to cope with Brighton. Obviously, we have a tough away game against Nottingham Forest, another team that's at the bottom. And Arsenal have actually, for some strange reason, struggled away from home against the lower teams. We struggled against Leeds United, won that game, drew at Southampton, home and away. Home and away, we drew with Southampton. In both games, they probably should have beaten us. And then who else is at the bottom? Lost to Everton away from home. So we've had a bit of trouble for some reason. Probably got an excellent record for teams from, let's say, 5th until 13. So maybe that record has been good, but obviously the team that's currently on top, we lost to them twice and then had a bit of difficult results against bottom teams. So we'll see how it goes. And then obviously the final day of the season, Wolves. I don't know what sort of pressure will be on us in that game. I personally feel that the Wolves they will be on their holidays already. But obviously we know that if Arsenal are going to have final day nerves where there is still something to play for, that game will be tricky. But we leave it at that. Let's have a look at what's to come on today's show. Let me get the slides on. Righto, the gunning truth. Let's see if the slides are correct. There we go. Cool. So I'm going to have more Arsenal news coming up next, and then we're going to, or I'm going to delve deep into the Newcastle Arsenal game, and then it's the Arsenal ladies, and then a look ahead to Arsenal Brighton. Before I forget, I am doing the Tuesday show on a Thursday. I don't want to change the name because it will go back probably as of the end of the season. However, I just feel with the fact that there's only one game a week and there's only three left, let me do my podcast and my Tuesday show at the same time, so consecutively, so that I can have audio and video rather than having to thumb suck. Well, okay, there's always new news, but I don't want to get into the transfer stuff yet. I want to delve into that after the season is done. And then there's currently a year and the injury news, which I just discussed. So I think it's probably for the best to do the podcast as well as the YouTube show and make that into one. So I am recording on a Thursday evening. And obviously, I will be broadcasting both the video and audio format right about noon tomorrow. And then obviously we will see how it goes with regards to interest in listening or viewing the show. Righto, let's get into Arsenal news. Right, so Arsenal Technical Director Edu and Director of Football Operations Richard Garlick are working on new contracts for core players. So obviously I've discussed in a previous show the importance of getting Bukayo Saka and William Saliba to new deals. 100% confident Saka will actually be announced. Well, it says so here in this little article. Saka will be announced before the end of the season. And then obviously William Saliba, I am fairly confident that we will get that done. I think we will get all the important contracts. We will get that sorted. Obviously, players are going to get increases as per their contract. So if they qualify for the Champions League, then I don't know if it's going to be a bonus or if it's going to be an increase in wages. So that is not public, but there will be obviously bonus related or performance related bonuses because the team has qualified for the Champions League. So everything goes up. Player wages, the type of player that you are looking to get, and that's actually going quite nicely into the second part of this image. Before I discuss the kits, which in my opinion, Adidas is starting to run out of ideas now, but we'll get to that. But Mikel Arteta has a summer list, and I don't think there's anyone. Well, there's probably one player that I really don't rate. So we've got Declan Rice, and I'll deep dive into this postseason. Declan Rice, they're talking about 120 million. I don't know. Obviously, if there's bidding wars, then it will be up to that price. But hopefully, he has his heart set on playing for the Arsenal. Moises Caicedo, so maybe both of them will go for 80 million. They are both in this market worth more. But hopefully Arsenal can get something done. And then obviously Romeo Lavia should be a player that we go for as a last resort, I think. Musa Diaby, I've never rated him. He has obviously his goal spurts. And we probably need a winger that can kind of play striker as well. I don't think Diaby can. And he's obviously on the Saka side of things, where Trossard and Martinelli tends to play on the left. So maybe left wing we sorted, and Trossard can play through the middle. But it's going to be very interesting to see. I think Arsenal needs someone that's capable of, I don't know if you can say push Bukayo Saka, but it needs to be a little bit better than Musa Diaby because he is very, very expensive for someone that doesn't really score all that much. And then obviously he's playing for Leverkusen. So we'll see if that's true. And then Mark Gahey and Wilfred Zaha. Wilfred Zaha would be an easier deal. Oh, okay, let's look at it this way. He's going to be free. However, it won't be an easy deal because maybe there's clubs that can offer, that can guarantee him football. I think he's only being linked to us because of the past, and then also because it's possible for him to play through the middle and on both wings, and he's free. And then obviously Mark Gahey is someone that I've liked for quite some time, that we are linked with him as a centre back. So that's quite interesting. Again, tricky to get the player because there will be other clubs as well, but that's where we are now, going into the Champions League and pushing Man City for the league title. we are actually in a position now where we need to get players that very likely can start for us now. It's not about players that will be on the bench, that's like Rob Holding, that could hold us back. So something like that, it's very important that we try to get players that can really push the first team. And then obviously, my opinion is Adidas running out of time. Running out of time. Well, they are running out of time. But obviously, all the kits have been so good that it's very difficult to continue having these great ideas. I can't see how the away kit is going to be good. Obviously, this season we had the black and gold kit, which was absolutely amazing, but I can't see that one being popular. The home kit is okay. It's obviously got a bit of gold in the red. And then obviously thinking back in the day with a JVC kit, might have been in the 80s or 90s, where we had green, where we wore green and this royal blue or dark blue, I think it is. So I don't mind the third kit. I probably would not purchase the away and the third kit. I probably would only go for the home one, where this season I went for the home and away kit. So obviously it's going to look completely different on the players. So then maybe it will, and obviously a signing or two will also help the situation. Right, so let's deep dive into Newcastle United versus Arsenal. Once again, as I said in my Monday reaction video, I thought this is where Arsenal really had to show their fight. And I actually said that the moment first of all, they hit the post, Newcastle, in the beginning. The crowd was definitely up for it, and then the penalty was denied, and that is the little turns in games that needs to take place for a Arsenal that is a very emotional team. It's Thierry Henry has said it. Arsene Wenger has said it. So many people have said it. People that's in the know when it comes to Arsenal or the Arsenal Football Club, and then obviously us fans as well. We are an emotive team, so obviously we need to obviously get into that killer instinct team, which we still aren't. I feel that's lacking, and that's why we might fall short. Probably going to be one of the main reasons why we are going to fall short, because in those run of 4 games of no wins, 3 draws and a loss to City, it's the killer instinct that was a problem. And for me, more the fight and the fear in the City game, that was part of the reason why I actually felt a little bit sick to my stomach. I know we had a very good season, but there was just in that Man City game where that first 20 minutes we were absolutely nowhere. But congrats to City on that win. I say that clenching my teeth. Anyway, so let's look at Newcastle United. Played a 4-3-3 system. No real holding midfielder or tough tackling midfielder. They've got Joelinton, that's a hard workhorse. He's an absolute mammoth lump of a human being. And then we've got Joseph Willock, former Arsenal player, obviously an Arsenal Academy graduate. And then we've got Bruno Guimaraes. So probably 2 players that likes to play with the ball, likes to link with the wide forwards, as well as Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson tends to stay up close to the Arsenal defenders in this game. And then Isaac, obviously, he had Ben White on toast, as I like to say it. He had a good game. And then Jacob Murphy. I didn't think Zinchenko had a very good game. It's actually been very disappointing, his form at the back end of the season, when he's the type of player that we needed. Obviously, on the ball, excellent. Really looks good. But also on the ball, has given the ball away so many times in the last 5 games or so. And he is now injured, out for the season. So once again, you don't want to do that excuses thing again, but Thomas Partey and Zinchenko might have been carrying something the last couple of games, and that's coincided with a loss of form and obviously chance creation at the maximum for the opposition. Doesn't matter who they are. But yeah, I thought Isaac had a good game. Murphy was okay. I thought Zinchenko was more poor than Murphy, causing him the world of hurt. Joseph Willock had a good game. What a chance it was for him to score. And obviously, Granit Xhaka running back almost 100 meters to stop and to block Joseph Willock from scoring. Trippier had an okay game. I thought their defenders were put under pressure from Arsenal. Our front three were absolutely brilliant. When it maybe not so much from prolific in front of goal. None of them scored. But it was their pressing. Their pressing was extremely impressive. From let's say roundabout after the penalty that was denied for Newcastle United. I thought Arsenal, in terms of the work rate, were exceptional, and obviously Newcastle United tried to resort to those tactics that the teams in the past try and have on us. They try and be overly physical, unnecessarily so. However, Arsenal showed the fight that is required, and the players that's come in recently, Jacob Kivio, Jorginho, that little area of the field has been absolutely superb. So when Ben White hasn't really had the same inverted role, well, difficult to say if it's been an inverted role, because the way I look at it, that it's a back three for Arsenal, where Ben White is tucking in. Jakob Kivior is more the central defender of a back three, and then Magayesh pushes towards the left when Zinchenko pushes up. Obviously, he tries to come back and support. Xhaka tries to come back and support Magayesh on that left side, and then obviously Jorginho pushes closer to Jakob Kivior. And then at that time, you've got the likes of Odegaard, Saka, Gabriel Jesus, and Martinelli a little bit further up the field, with Odegaard also coming back to help. So, fluid system that can change 3-4-3, 3-4-1-2, 3-4-2-1. So it's very fluid when we play. Obviously, in possession and out of possession. And I think it was more to do with the fight than tactics in this game. Tactics was very important, but I thought it was absolutely exceptional, Arsenal's fighting capabilities in this game. And then, the fight is absolutely important. And then, obviously, what was important as well is Arsenal's finishing ability. Now, the finishing was terrific. The first goal from Odegaard, not long after the penalty situation, that was important. However, we had 3 one-on-ones. Was it Martinelli had a one-on-one, Odegaard had a one-on-one, and Saka had a one-on-one. You could say 2 out of the 3. Pope had really good saves, but a clinical Liverpool team. This is where I come into the Liverpool team that was so fantastic. Firmino, Mane, and Salah. They were so clinical when they played on the counter attack in difficult away games. Now, I'm not complaining. We won the game. We were exceptional. I've given the team credit on my Monday reaction video as well as now for the fighting spirit and for the way they were able to control certain instances of this game. It was very difficult to control everything because Newcastle United have been brilliant at home. They've pushed hard in the first 20 minutes of games, and Arsenal saw the first 10 to 15 minutes out. And within 15 minutes, obviously, we scored that fantastic goal from Odegaard. But once again, I keep on harping on about it. The same way I've been harping on about our form up north. Yay, our first win there at the difficult up north stadiums. Old Trafford, Etihad, Anfield, Goodson Park, St James's Park. Finally, a win there. But the killer instinct. It's obviously you are repeating yourself. It's like you're in school and the teacher has to repeat her or himself to the class because they're not listening. But yeah, we just don't have that killer instinct. It's something that's probably part of this so-called process. Right, some stats to the left. Obviously, Odegaard scored in the 14th minute, a Jorginho assist. And then a couple of chances for Newcastle United, but I thought Arsenal's were a little bit more. So 3 one-on-ones. I can't remember if all 3 one-on-ones were in the first half. At least 2 of them were. And then in the second half as well, Martinelli hit the post. So Martinelli also had another chance other than hitting the post and the one-on-one. So he could have had a hat-trick. So we need to work on being a little bit more clinical. I know it's difficult that time of the season. We got Man City in our brains, obviously. We've got mental and physical fatigue. But it's been for a while now that we've actually not been really clinical. Profligate is that beautiful word. However, Shah own goal, that was actually quite a fantastic own goal from him. Obviously, Arsenal deserved to win, in my opinion, by 2 clear goals, whether you could look at it and say that Newcastle hit the post twice. It wasn't a penalty, so that's not debatable. It hit the guy's leg, Kivio's leg, and then it went to, then the ball might have touched his hand. But definitely not a penalty. So let's say they hit the post twice, which isn't on target. It's not in the net. So Yeah, Arsenal had one-on-ones, and just we're not clinical. I thought Burn had a difficult time. Saka wasn't brilliant, but he gave Burn a couple of issues, and then Shaw also. I thought their defense, other than Trippier, wasn't that great on the day, and the late Eddie Nketiah yellow card. Don't want to get overly critical, but once again, the bench was okay in this game, but just overall, Nketiah, since the injury comeback, hasn't been good. He doesn't really score coming off the bench. Obviously, his goal scoring form picked up when he was starting, and then obviously the last couple of games, and that's probably due to the fact that he got a knock that is just before Jesus came back, and it's just been a little bit downhill from there. So it's something that I'm going to need to discuss in my postseason review and looking ahead to next season. We're going to have to move on. It's we cannot have sentiments anymore. Right, so there we go. Let me just see if I can see this shots. There's absolutely no way. Once again, this StreamYard thing is in the way. Right, so shots on target for Newcastle, 5 off target, 5, 6 on target for Arsenal. I'm assuming that's 2 off, and then 2 blocked shots, possession. So one of the few teams to have more ball than us this season. Obviously, in this game, the way the game went around, it wasn't to do with possession. It was about the fight. It was about finishing off your opportunities as well. 9 corner kicks to 4, so we dealt with that well. We've had a little bit of brittleness in our corner defending. And for most of the season, we actually quite dangerous from corners, but not so much in the last 2 months or so. Only one offside from Arsenal. Newcastle United, more fouls every single game. The opposition has more fouls than us. Throw ins 26-17. It's not rugby, as I said before, why they got throw in stats. 2 yellow cards to 1, obviously. And then crosses, 24 crosses from Newcastle United. So we dealt with a load of things quite well. You could say that probably the cross, which was very unnecessary, from the incident leading to the penalty, which we eventually was not given. So from that instance, you can say, okay, that was a little bit dangerous. Arsenal more counterattacks. Again, the one-on-ones is a little bit of a problem. And then 5 goalkeeper saves each. Goal kicks isn't important, and then they got treatments as a stat. My word. So I'll leave it there. Fantastic win from Arsenal. It's a very difficult place to go to, Newcastle United. Man City didn't win there. Man United didn't win there. Tottenham got bashed. 5 goals in the first 20 minutes. Liverpool did go there to win 2-0, I think it might have been. So Liverpool played well there, and now Arsenal being the second team to beat Newcastle. I know they've had 1 or 2 draws when they had a little bit of a dip, I think January, February time. But in terms of winning, Arsenal and Liverpool are the only teams in the league to win. So not even City won there. So it's something that we can be proud of. And I will just have a look at the log again when I analyze the Brighton game. But I'll leave it at that for this game. Newcastle United 0, Arsenal 2. Right, time for the Arsenal ladies. Now, if you look at this picture, most people that watches this content are probably not asked when it comes to the ladies, which is disappointing. But this is a picture that was taken at the beginning of the season. So Arsenal have had loads of transfers in the January transfer window. But let's just look at this. Vine Reuter. So now we are at the back. Let me just give you guys a rundown of this team. Vine Reuter. So she's our right back. So actually 2 right backs next to each other, out with an ACL injury for the rest of the season, now recently. So that means she won't play this year. So she misses next season, most of next season. No Maritz, that's our other right back. She's actually in good form now. So that is fine. Then Steph Catley consistently has hamstring issues. Not blaming her, but she's now again got a leg issue. I don't know if it's hamstring per se. One of our top scorers next to her, Frida Manum. She's really playing well. One of the best players this season in the entire league. Taya Goldie just got back from a 9-month long injury. I'm assuming it's an ACL as well. Caitlin Ford, our Australian striker, she's been injured for about 3 weeks since the international break. Then after next to her is Iwabuchi, a Japanese number 10. Didn't really fit in with the coach's style or the manager's style. So she was actually sent out on loan to Tottenham. And then in the middle row, we've got Stina Blackstenius, our Swedish striker. She just scored 2 goals in our win yesterday, which I'll get to. We beat Brighton away from home 4-0, one of the 2 games in hand. So she's the top scorer this season. Then you've got Hurtig, Lena Hurtig, a Swedish wide player, has struggled to really get into the flow of things, constantly injured as well. Then we've got Raffaelli, our left centre back, Brazilian ladies captain and Copa America winner. She's in fantastic form, so she's still there. Zinsberger, our goalkeeper. We've actually bought another goalkeeper, a Canadian goalkeeper. I think she won the gold medal at the Olympics. She is Sabrina D'Angelo. She's not in this picture because this is the picture from the beginning of the season. And then we bought Marquesi. She's an American goalkeeper, doesn't play often. Jen Beattie, very important centre back for Arsenal. Lotte Wibben-Moy, very important centre back for Arsenal. And then Vivian Miedema, our top goal scorer in the last couple of years. She's out with an ACL injury. Front row from the left, Leah Valti, a very experienced, excellent central defensive midfielder. She just signed a new contract, so a very big coup for Arsenal. Then our current captain, after 2 of our captains have been injured, and the 2 captains that's injured are sitting either side of our coach, Jonas Ideval. So that's McCabe, that is second from far left at the bottom row. So that's McCabe, currently the captain. She plays as a right back, right winger, left winger, central midfielder. She does it all. Currently captaining the side with a couple of games to go. Then our actual first team captain, that is Kim Little, Scottish player, retired from international football. She's just a model professional, as they say. She's out with a serious hamstring injury, will very likely be back for preseason. And then we've got our coach and head coach, or you can call it a manager, Jonas Ideval. He is Swedish. And then another player out with the ACL, and that is Leia Williamson. She is the vice captain, took over the captaincy when Kim Little got injured, and now she's injured as well. Also a long-term injury, so she will also miss the World Cup. Remember, the World Cup is in July. It starts on the 20th of July in New Zealand and Australia. Then we've got second from the end, bottom row, Jordan Nobbs, a player that we really needed now, but she needed to play because it wasn't all those injuries at the time of her being sold in January to Aston Villa. She's got aspirations to play for England in the World Cup, so she had to go. She would have been so needed now. She's a very good player. She scores goals from midfield. However, we sold her to Aston Villa. And then the other one that has also got an ACL injury, also a doubt for the World Cup. However, she's actually started running now. So she's actually ahead of everyone, and that is Beth Mead. She just recently got an MBE. She is the European Women's Player of the Tournament, second best player in the world, nominated in the FIFA awards, so that she got the second position 2 years in a row. So quite a story from the Arsenal women's. I just thought I delve a bit of time there, and then just quickly on the log. Man United currently leading as they have been for most of the season. 50 points after 20 games, only 2 losses. Their losses have been to Chelsea and to Man City. Just a little note on this, only the top 3 goes through to the Women's Champions League, a Champions League campaign where Arsenal nearly made the final. Chelsea also nearly made the final. They are favourites to win the league. As you can see, they're 5 ahead of Arsenal. And on the 21st of May this month, not too long from now, they will be playing Arsenal in a huge game that will have obviously implications on the league. So Arsenal is a little bit away. We've got a game in hand against Everton, which we should win. Everton, one of the worst teams in the league. So if Arsenal win that, then they will have 20 games, technically 47 points. Chelsea also have a game in hand. They've actually scored 12 goals in their last 2 games. So that is their season ending form, almost like a Manchester City, where they are hitting the notes on all cylinders, if I can call it that. That probably doesn't make sense. Obviously, Chelsea won their last 4 games. Man United won their last 5, including beating Arsenal. That's Arsenal's only loss. And then Man City had 2 bad losses in the last 5 games against teams that is not in the. Oh, no, well, Actually, they lost to Arsenal. One of those losses is against Arsenal. And then they lost to Liverpool. Liverpool's actually struggling a bit lower down. City actually lost to Liverpool this weekend. So the most important thing is Arsenal's probably going to struggle to win the league. However, it's important for Arsenal to finish third. So they are battling Man City for that third Champions League spot. The second and third team has to go to qualification rounds. I think you have two qualification rounds if you finish third for the women, and only one if you finish second. So strongly likely that I think Chelsea will win the league. I think Man United will finish second, and Arsenal will finish third, in my opinion. So big game still to come. Man United have to play Man City, Chelsea play Arsenal, all on that same Sunday afternoon on the 21st. So really looking forward to the end of the women's WSL. It's going to be absolutely excellent to watch. And if Arsenal can somehow, they've got so many injuries. I just went through the whole team now. It's going to be very difficult for them to beat Chelsea. Chelsea's got form now. They're scoring goals again. They're not conceding. So it's going to be very difficult for Arsenal. Arsenal actually been struggling recently to beat Chelsea. However, Arsenal did get a trophy this season, the Women's League Cup, and they beat Chelsea 3-1 in the final. There we go. Final segment for the show this week. Once again, just to repeat, I am doing audio and video for the same show. So, my Spotify show, and unfortunately, obviously, for people listening in their cars or on their phones, you can refer. I am using slides, so you can refer to the YouTube show, The Gunning Truth. Just add The Gunning Truth into your YouTube search bar. You can subscribe, like, comment, and I really want this channel to grow. So hopefully people enjoy the content. I obviously put quite a lot of work into it, but I'm not here to beg or anything. At the end of the day, it's the content that will, at the end of the day, bear fruits for me. So what sort of content am I bringing the people that's listening to the show? Are people only listening at the start and switching off? Are people not in agreement with me? Then you need to let me know at the end of the day. Right, Arsenal Brighton. We lost last season. Trossard scored in that game. Caicedo was man of the match. So these are all players that's got a bit of an Arsenal connection. Ben White used to play for Brighton. So there's quite a bit of a connection when it comes to Arsenal and Brighton. They also have Danny Welbeck playing for them up front. So it's going to be interesting to see who's fit for Brighton. I think I do have a injury list which is quite substantial for Brighton. So from an Arsenal injury standpoint, Takahiro Tomiyasu, William Saliba, Mohamed El Neni, and now Zinchenko all out for the season. Obviously, Zinchenko only got injured in the, and that could be the only reason why he came off against Newcastle United, because of the calf problem. And then on the side of Man City, Tariq Lamptey, who's actually always had good games against Arsenal for some reason. He's got a knee injury. Solly March, key player, thigh injury. Joel Feldman, muscle injury. Jeremy Sarmiento, toe injury. Jakob Murder, knee injury and thigh injury. Adam Lallana, who is a sick note. So they still have a very good squad. As we can see, Brighton have had an excellent season. They just had an absolute pasting from Everton at the Amex, which was a shock result, and that was their 10th loss of the season. Actually, quite a lot of losses. 7 draws and 16 wins. So they've had a very good season. They still have 2 games in hand over Liverpool and Tottenham. If they win their 2 games in hand, they will still be behind Liverpool. Liverpool 7 clear. And obviously, they are playing Arsenal now, and they play Man City in the final week of the Premier League. So the weekday, the last weekday match of the Premier League season before the last games of the season. So Brighton still have Arsenal and Chelsea to play. So really looking forward to this game. Brighton, they were very, I wouldn't say they were poor. I just thought Everton were excellent on Monday in a 5-1 win against Brighton. They were very open, which I really hope they are against us, because our front 3, front 4 will absolutely batter them from an attacking standpoint. So hopefully Arsenal are able to contain them. Hopefully Caicedo doesn't have another amazing game. And this time we've got Trossard on our side. And I will get to the team now. But just on the league, I've obviously said on numerous occasions, well, on my platforms as well as off your game show on a Saturday with myself and Josh, I've said that probably Arsenal lost it before the Man City game. Those three games were absolutely massive because it could have gone to a situation where you don't beat Man City in any of the two games, but you dealt with your business in other games. So Liverpool, West Ham, and then the Southampton game. To, in my opinion, could have drawn against Liverpool, lost to Man City, but needed to beat West Ham and Southampton. So those two games. Maybe take away the Liverpool one because it's very difficult to win there. And that's why Arsenal are in this position now. 14 goal difference. So obviously loads of goals conceded in that winless run of four games. And even in a game where we dominated against Chelsea, also conceded there. So 39 goals conceded in 35 games. So it's a guarantee that Arsenal will finish second. It's a guarantee that Arsenal will be in the Champions League next season. If we don't win the league, we'll be in pot three. So two huge teams can be selected in our group. So that's another concern. And then obviously we are guaranteed to concede more goals than games this season because we've conceded already 39 goals. However, fantastic to see that we've scored 83. We've only lost four times, of which two were to Manchester City, Manchester United, the other one, and Everton, the other one. So there we go. Teams from up north. I said it at the beginning of my very first podcast that we struggle up north. And this season, our only four losses has been to teams up north, drawn with Liverpool away from home as well, which isn't a bad result. So Arsenal guaranteed to finish second, at least 81 points. I think we will win the last three games. So that means we will end on 90. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be enough. I think we might lose out by about 3 points. I do feel City will drop at least one game. I don't think they'll win every one, but maybe they do. Right. So my team for this Saturday, I've actually decided to give Jesus a bit of a breather. So I'm having Jesus on the bench. I'm pretty certain Arteta would start Jesus and have Trossard on the bench like he has, or possibly move out Martinelli. But I think in this game, Trossard starts up front against his former team, Martinelli and Saka up front. We've got Jesus on the bench to come on at any stage in the second half. And then Martin Odegaard closest to the front three, Xhaka assisting Jorginho because it's going to be a bit of a situation with McAllister and Caicedo. I've gone Jorginho ahead of Thomas Partey, and obviously, as you can see by the slide, I did this slide before hearing the news of Zinchenko's season-ending calf issue. So obviously Tierney goes into that side, and Tierney will obviously tuck in from a defensive standpoint closer to Gabriel now. And so that obviously changes the dynamic because I don't see Tierney really portraying that inverted role. He could do it. He's been better doing it. However, I think he's going to be more conventional in this game, which isn't a bad thing. So I think Ben White will be a little bit more inverted, or not even inverted. He'll push up a bit more, and then you've got Gabriel as well. We've actually now got three left-footed defenders, if you think about it. Even though when Zinchenko is there, he doesn't quite play that back four left back role. He's a little bit more into midfield. That's why I've pushed him that high, closer to Jorginho. So obviously, Jorginho and White are the right footers out of these five players that I've got in the defensive third or defensive half of the field. Xhaka obviously closer to Martinelli, Odegaard closer to Saka, and then obviously Xhaka basically roaming all over that side of the field. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Arsenal go about it. I've got my key points, and I've used these four over here. So it's going to be vital, especially with the fact that it's two left-footed, and I know we've spoken about it so many times. The fact that we now are obviously kind of forced to play two left-footers. However, it's worked against Chelsea and it's worked against Newcastle United. So hopefully it works against Brighton. Another tough game, three tough games after the City game. So we need to continue being back on that horse, try and push City all the way. Ramsdale will always be vital because Arsenal, unfortunately, do still obviously give quite a few chances away. So he's constantly having to work, which is a little bit disappointing, especially the first half of the season. How Arsenal used to control and dominate games. And then obviously Jorginho, he's been superb in the last two games. So it's going to be interesting to see if Thomas Partey comes back into the side. once again, there's certain things that needs to take place. Obviously, Thomas Partey hasn't played with with the two Kivio and Gabriel at the back, so that's going to be interesting to see how that would play out if Arsenal decide to play Thomas Partey. And then we've got obviously the three guys at the front. So I've obviously taken Jesus out for this game. He's obviously started all the games since is it after the Fulham game. So Crystal Palace, Leeds, all those games. Gabriel Jesus started. So I've got Trossard starting, and then it's going to be vital for Bukayo Saka to start getting and hitting the right notes. I've been a little bit disappointed in him. He still causes problems, so that's the weird thing. Or well, it's a good thing. He still causes all sorts of problems for opposition because sometimes they have to put two, sometimes even three players has to come across to try and stop him from cutting inside. So it's going to be vital for us. Odegaard has been in exceptional form, scored again, should have had another. So he's obviously, with 15 goals, the top scoring central midfielder in the history of the Premier League, well, tied with Kevin De Bruyne. So really looking forward to seeing how that goes. I'm going to go with Arsenal to win 3-1. I think it will be a battle. And hopefully Brighton continues their bad form this coming Sunday evening. So it's a Sunday afternoon or late afternoon game, 5:30 kickoff in South Africa. So we'll see how it goes. I'm confident Arsenal can get the win. I'm confident Arsenal can win the last three games. I've said that before, but yeah, I'm confident Arsenal can get the win in the last three games and just to try to push City at the very least to the last day. And hopefully Everton can do us a favor. Everton beat us at Goodson. Everton got a draw at the Etihad. So hopefully they can do something. Don't want to be in a situation where either they are pushing, maybe scoring first, second half, maybe Haaland and De Bruyne is on the bench. They maybe start with Mahrez. He then scores, or Alvarez scores late in the first half, and then boom, second half. De Bruyne comes on and Haaland, and they end up scoring or assisting for them to then get to 3 points. There's quite a few people that feels if Man City gets the win in this one, then that's probably it because no one has any confidence in Chelsea. However, I still feel the Everton away game, they're playing Brighton away, and they're playing Brentford away on the last day. Something can still happen. But obviously, we know Man City, they're in fantastic form. They basically at peak. They were fantastic against Real Madrid for most of the game. They switched off a little bit on the Vinicius goal, but they are in prime form, and that is why people feel they will win every single game going forward from here on in to win the treble. We'll see about that. Right, so upcoming shows I've actually not put down because I'm not always going to do a Monday reaction video, but I did a Monday reaction video last Monday. I just felt I had to, and I very likely will on the Brighton game, but it's not a guarantee that I do it. That's why I haven't added it into the slide. So upcoming shows on the Gunning Truth YouTube channel. I didn't even add the truth on that, so I need to edit that out again. So the Gunning Truth YouTube channel, Off Your Game, it's a Saturday show that I record with Josh. It's now going to be bi-weekly. So last week we recorded a show. However, what we will do is, and as you can see right at the bottom, we're going to have weekly short videos. So Josh and I, over the weekend, so probably Friday into Saturday, we'll be recording a short video, which I'll post on the Gunning Truth YouTube page. And it's going to be short videos just to kind of run through the Premier League story as well as in short form, as well as the Champions League and Europa League and Europa Conference League situation. So that will be short videos. Josh will do his one, I will do mine, and I'll post it between Saturday and Sunday. And then the Gunning Truth show. So up until the end of the season, I will be recording it on a Thursday evening. It's called the Tuesday show. It will remain called the Tuesday show, but I will post it as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify, as well as a video show on YouTube on a Friday afternoon. And there we go. So, yeah, I didn't even really get to talk about the Arsenal Academy. I thought the season ended in a whimper. The under-18s made the final of the FA Youth Cup, got absolutely battered by West Ham. And then The under 21s, they led the league going into January, and then so many things took place. A lot of players started training with the first team as Arsenal ended up getting injuries, and obviously a couple of players went out on loan. And then, yeah, Arsenal got a hammering by Man City. I think it was in January sometime, and then they've won only one game the entire calendar year so far, and then they got smashed by City in the last game of the league campaign again. I think it must have been at home. Yeah, they got smashed 5-0 or 5-1. So disappointing academy, but once again, it's all about bringing through players from Hale in. Obviously, it's going to be less so now because we've already got academy graduates playing for the first team, and we're going to probably focus on getting stronger players, players that can play in Europe. Hopefully, we get to do that. Hopefully, I get to analyze the type of players that we are going to be hoping to sign. Obviously, I've mentioned my wish list. I've mentioned Arteta's wish list, and it seems like it's not too dissimilar. So I'll end the show there. Obviously, upcoming games. The Arsenal ladies are not playing this weekend because it's the Women's FA Cup final. That is Chelsea versus Man United. They are playing at Wembley. I think it's almost sold out there, so it's going to be a huge crowd there. I do think it probably will be on Supersport, that FA Cup final, maybe not. And then the Arsenal ladies are playing next Wednesday against Everton. That is their game in hand. Vital game. Arsenal need to win that one. And then Arsenal first team playing on Sunday against Brighton. Obviously, Everton, Man City first in the afternoon, and then Arsenal are at home to Brighton in a absolute mammoth game. Any drop points now, and that's that. And I think if Everton cannot get anything out of that Man City game, then I think the league is done as well. So we will leave it at that. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you listen on Spotify, iTunes, or watch on YouTube, or both. Support the show, guys. I promise you it's going to get bigger and it's going to be amazing things coming in the summer. I'm going to be doing what I call a old school watch along, where Josh and myself on the Off Your Game show, we will be doing a watch along on old games. I'm thinking Arsenal Middlesbrough at Highbury 5-3, Newcastle Liverpool, the game where Kevin Keegan went crazy. I'm thinking about the Hand of God game where Maradona had the handball in the World Cup 86 semi-final against England. So fun things to look forward to, especially when there's going to be no football in the off season. Enjoy the week, guys. All of the best. And come on, you rip